And so when you come here to the garden, you usually do a circular walk through the garden. So we're going to start here, and then we're going to go here to the timber, learn about the Tang Dynasty timber. Then we're going to come down here, visit the Golden Pavilion, carry on walking and visit the next one, and then we're going to see a restaurant waterfall over here, and then we're going to come back, and there's a cafe here, a rock museum, and also if you love those tiny trees, bonsai trees, they've got that there as well. And then we're going to end over here where they've got a Chinese version of a sundial, and just really beautiful place to end our tour. So that's going to be our tour today. So let's begin here at the gate, and the first thing you should know is that this garden is based on a garden from the Tang Dynasty, and in the Tang Dynasty style. Now unfortunately there's no gardens left from the Tang Dynasty. They ruled until 917 AD, and so it's been more than 1,000 years, so there's no gardens left from the Tang Dynasty. But this garden that we're going to see today is actually based on a blueprint of a garden from the Shaanxi province in mainland China. Now I want to talk about this this door that we're going to walk through, this wall front. It's called a shadow wall. Oh, hi Andrew. And it's made of birchwood timber, and it's used to create a border from the outside world and remind people that they're entering an important place. And it really is an important place. Now this lintel that you see ahead of us, that lintel right there, that was a sign. If you were a high official in a Chinese dynasty, you would have a gate like this. This would indicate that you have a high rank in a Chinese dynasty. And so this really ornate, beautiful lintels would be a symbol of that. And I'm just going to turn around now, because as the moment we enter the garden, now you'll see we've just left over there that we've got two highways, but when we enter the garden, it's not going to feel like we're part of two highways, and that's because they've put up these walls and they block the sound of the highway. So in a moment we're going to enter the garden, and it's going to feel like you wouldn't believe that we were in the middle of the concrete jungle. It's really amazing. Okay, so let's come through. Now a really great way to think about this garden is that Chinese gardens are a miniature version of the natural world. So you really need to think of this garden as like a work of art. It's a miniature version of the natural world. They try to incorporate all the elements and make it a miniature version. And how they do that is they think of the garden as a work of art, and they use instead of using paint and canvas to create the garden. What elements do you have? You have rocks, like we see in front of us, trees, hills, water. Yeah, we're actually going to see some bonsai trees at the end of the tour. There's a special bonsai garden. And water as well. So all these elements are put together almost like you would use, so they're not using paint, but they're using those elements to create this garden. Now now this sign over here, if you translate it, it translates to Nanlin Garden. That's the name of the garden that we are in now. Now what's great about coming here to Nannan Garden is that you come in different seasons, and every season things change. Now there are a lot of these trees that we see in front of us are evergreen trees, but all the flowers and the plants, they change through the seasons, and so you get different feelings as you come through. Now over here we have the Chinese Timber Architecture Gallery. It's not open yet, but I just want to tell you a little bit about the Chinese timber. So Chinese Timber Gallery. So this style. Now I told you earlier that there's no Tang style gardens left, and this garden is original. But this garden is based on a blueprint of a Tang style garden. But the timber buildings that were built during the Tang Dynasty, those still survive. And they're really, really hardy. And the reason is, it's got to do with the way that they're constructed. No nails are used in the construction of these wooden buildings. And it's got to do the design. I'm going to show you the roof. So let's just go a little bit closer in, and we can we'll be able to see it better. So you can, let's zoom in over here. Dahlia, we're here at the Nanlin Garden near the Diamond Hill train station in Hong Kong. So they use the cornices and the wood and interlock all the pieces of the building, almost like a giant jigsaw puzzle. And this it actually withstands earthquakes and no nails. It's just amazing, and that this sort of building stands the test of time. And inside we can see some of the examples of the buildings that are still standing, and just really, really amazing the way they've done that. And it's all because the wood it's everything like it interlocks. Okay, now we're gonna take the garden route. And we're going to be going to the Golden Pavilion. Now this garden is all about evoking the six senses. Now you might be asking, what is the sixth sense? And the Chinese consider that the sixth sense is the mind. And so so as you walk through the garden, there's the feeling of touch, smell, the aromas coming from the different flowers, the way things look, the sounds of the birds, and the sounds of the water, the smell, the taste, all of that creates the experience. Now, a lot of these rocks that you see over here, actually, they're not from Hong Kong. They were bought specially from the mainland and placed here. And rocks are really interesting because they give a feeling of history and make this area seem really, really old, although it was literally built in 2006. Now there's a nice resting place with these banyan trees, and they've got these tables and little stools, and they've got an interesting story. yeah, I'll show you one. They actually made that these the stones that these little picnic area tables and stools are made out of. They're from these rocks are actually they're basalt rocks, and they're from Mongolia, and they're actually they're volcanic, and were taken from a extinct volcano. And here they are, so you can. So Alicia says, if the garden was built in 2006, what is in the space before? I think before must have been housing. A lot of Hong Kong is continuously being redeveloped, and so it may have been housing, I imagine, or maybe an industrial space. But Hong Kong government has put a lot of effort into creating spaces for the community, this being one of them. They're continually now developing the waterfront and cycle tracks. They've even got a new bridge that they've built. So this is just a beautiful area to come and relax, read the newspaper. Now, some of the trees here are over 700 years old. Now, we're going to come to my favorite place here in Lian, and that is the Golden Pavilion. Now, that's made out of wood and painted with a gold colored paint. And the pavilion is surrounded by lotuses. And an interesting thing to note is that lotuses only grow in muddy water, yet they have the most beautiful flowers. So, like, just playing with that idea of, like, you know, in all the ugliness there's like something beautiful that comes up. Just like we surrounded, if we went into Google Earth and looked where we're surrounded by, we really are in the middle of the concrete jungle, yet we have this beautiful, relaxing garden in the midst of all that, contrasting with the hard cement of the city. A little oasis where birds can come and people can come and relax. Yeah, it does, right? But I want to tell you, there's another thing I want to show you, and the designers of this garden were really, really clever. And I'm going to show you why now. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So from this angle, now the garden itself isn't that big, but from this angle what they've done is they've created a sight line that makes it look like this garden goes from where we are right now all the way extending into the mountain. When in fact it doesn't. It's actually a lot smaller than it looks. But that optical illusion is really, really clever, and just gives the space a much bigger feeling. And you're going to see a lot of these optical tricks in this garden. I'll point out a couple more as we go on. But if I would just turn the camera just one way, like over here, there's a skyscraper, and just over there, skyscrapers are everywhere. Now this is one of the most popular places to come when you're in this royal Chinese garden, and a great place to take photos. I've been to similar looking places in Japan, and they're just just a great place to come. Now Hong Kong is a very busy city. People are like overworked and stressed, and so public places like these are really important. You can come here, you can get away from the hustle and bustle, you can relax and just enjoy the sound of birds, the sound of the water flowing, nice green open space. And it almost feels hard to believe that that literally right next door to us is a highway. You would never think it, but really, really crazy to think. So there we've got a waterfall. I'll zoom into it a little bit. Okay, let's continue. Oh, so somebody was asking what is the blue on the right. The gardeners are working tirelessly to get the tree just right, pruning it, cutting it. A lot of work goes into this garden behind the scenes, and there you can see them doing it. Okay, now we're going to my next favorite area called the Blue Pond. And I don't know if I think at the beginning of the tour I told you today is Buddha's birthday, and this is right adjacent or part of this royal garden over there is the Lian Nunnery. That's a Buddhist monastery here. And today is a very special day, being Buddha's birthday, so lots of people are going to be visiting. So we're making our way to the Blue Pond now. This is probably my second favorite place here in the garden. And they've also used optical illusions and clever design to create almost like a pond that feels like it goes on forever. And you'll see that now when we enter. Oh, Neil, it's your brother's birthday too. On the 26th, here on the 26th of May. So here it is, the Blue Pond Garden. And I'm gonna zoom in now quickly. I want to give you this, depending on which way you look at the garden, there's different perspectives. Now this garden, it feels like it goes on forever, and the reason is because the water is coming through underneath that building. There's a waterfall behind that building, and then I'm just gonna zoom out now. Then you have this building, and then you can't. The way it's designed in such a way that you can't actually see the end of the pond, so it feels like it just extends on forever, but it does actually come to an end. But it's a visual trick that makes it feel like this is a massive expanse of a pond that just continues, almost like a river just running through the whole area. So just a really, really good visual trick to make it feel like the garden is huge. Now I'm going to turn down a little bit now and see some of the animal life in the pond. So in this pond they've got koi fish, And even there's a turtle there as well. Now in Chinese culture, koi fish bring luck, and it also just adds some color to and life to this beautiful pond. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that because the garden also uses some paint as well. I call it the go away green, and we're going to see that shortly. They use it here in the garden as well to hide. Some things you can see it over here. They've got these boxes here. Well, I call it the go away green. It's like a green that they try to make disappear. Okay, so now we're gonna walk and there's a restaurant here, and we're gonna walk to the waterfall as well, and I'll tell you more about that go away green. A lot of the fish are gathered over here. It must be feeding time. I'm getting lots of great postcards. Oh, there's a beautiful fish here just below, green. That green and black one looks like a tiger. It's got tiger colors. Beautiful, massive fish. So now we're gonna go to the restaurant, and there's now this is part of a Buddhist monastery, and so of course they have a restaurant that sells vegetarian food, and it's hidden behind this waterfall, believe it or not. And I was talking earlier about go away green, so they've actually concealed this building using like that, what I call the go away green color, and then they've covered it. It's a 3-story building, but it's covered in greens and trees and plants, and almost overtaking the building, making it almost disappear into the landscape and making it not very noticeable. So you can sit inside that restaurant there, and you have this beautiful waterfall flowing right past you. And here's just a reverse of where we've just come from. There we go. And here we have something from the Chinese countryside. This is a picture from the countryside, and common in the past in China. This is a mill, and now as we would think in the West that you use a mill maybe to churn butter or create flour, but of course here in China they would be using the mill to maybe grind up soya beans to create soya milk. And we can go have a look. Sometimes the windows in the mill are open. You can go have a look. And this is the entrance. This is the way you'll walk to get into the restaurant here. And there's the gardener up there doing some great work, making sure this garden is looking beautiful. So if you want to come to the vegetarian restaurant, you enter on the right hand side here. And we're going to turn left now. Here you've got, oh, can you hear that music? We've got the cafe and a souvenir shop. All in these beautiful muted brown and yellow colors. And there's also a cafe here. Now there's summer in Hong Kong, it gets quite hot, so you can go inside this cafe. Here's the back side of the blue pond. And we're gonna make our way to the Rock Museum. So here's the souvenir shop. It hasn't opened yet, but you can. This is the sort of things you can buy. Some beautifully ornate accessories for tea, coffee. Now I was telling you earlier that the rocks here are brought all the way from all over China, and they've got a special rock museum here where the rocks they didn't use they put in here, and you can go have a look at them. It is closed. And then of course they've got a little bonsai garden, almost a garden in a garden, where they've got lots of bonsais that are carefully tended for and taken care of. And now I want to take you to the bridge. And here we can see this astrological clock. It's made in the form of a beautiful lotus, and there are different around each side. There's a different astrological clock showing the different like the phases of the moon, the sun, the stars. And on top of it, they've got lamps that turn on and represent the seeds over there. Those lamps over there on top of this big lotus sundial. And so I told you earlier, today is an important day. It's Buddha's birthday, and so lots and lots of people are coming to this garden, and particularly the monastery, which is actually just across the road, and it's connected to the garden. In fact, if we just take these stairs over here, we will get to the top. So let's go up the stairs quickly. And we'll end our tour when we get to the top. and you have a little peek. We'll have a little peek inside the Lian monastery. Now it should be quite busy today because it's a Buddhist temple, and of course today is Buddha's birthday. So I imagine a little bit later. Now we are walking over a highway, and on the main road, over the main road. The highway is just on the left-hand side, and here's the entrance to the Buddhist monastery, the Lian Nunnery. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour. We've got 2 more coming over in the next 2 days, and let's see if I don't know if I can go inside, but I'll see if I can just sneak in. Not sneak in, but just give you a little shot inside. Yeah, so there we are. And then I just want to contrast that. We've been through this beautiful garden, but as soon as I turn around, you can see that we literally are in the middle of the city. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye from Hong Kong. Keep on adventuring.